I am also in the alive category.
It's good to know. I'm stepping through some code right now. I guess
Feeling
I can.
better?
Yeah, yeah. It's I told you my test results, right?
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
negative, right?
yeah. It's weird because I was kind of disappointed because I felt like it would validate me not manning up and me feeling terrible. But now that I didn't have COVID, I feel ashamed that I was complaining about how sick I was
Well, it could be the flu.
when there's like half the or a third of the world population going through much worse. So
Well,
yeah,
there's a lot of people who went through pretty much nothing with COVID too, and then there's people who have the flu who get it really, really bad. So,
yeah. Oh, so I wonder if this is working. Why does it keep stepping into everything? I don't know, man. Oh, what's happening here? Hold up. You use Visual Studio Code, Writer. What do you use?
I use Visual Studio generally for C# code. I'll use VS Code for JavaScript. Um,
This isn't good.
Vue, whatever. I think I used VS Code when I was playing with Elixir too.
I I think I'm going to have to, and this is where like you can provide me your insight. I think I'm going to have to like learn some like actual like vendor DevOps tools to replicate an entire like environment.
Yeah, probably.
Like I don't think there's like a copy paste of a resource group and just give it a different name. So where is this thing failing at? Hold up. This used to work. I don't know what happened. All right, so a brief summary is I'm like 96% done with my QA deployment, and the little gotcha now is location tracking, and so like this is my my test solution because it says solution azure.test, and so I was just quickly trying to figure out if my test was actually running or not. Oh, I don't think it's supposed to be a session ID of a whole bunch of zeros. Yeah,
Oof.
yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be that. Uh, okay. So yeah, I was trying to like figure out why this location thing isn't working, and I'll pause it and focus on our session.
Oh, uh,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, like I think I'm gonna have to actually pick and choose a deployment or well, yeah, a deployment technology or infrastructure as code versus manually doing this through the Azure portal for an actual production environment. And so, like a month ago, I was binge watching videos on Terraform. And then 2 weeks ago, I was binge watching videos on Pulumi. And then yesterday, I listened to a couple of videos on bicep, and I think I'm going to go the bicep route.
Okay. Terraform is the only one of those that I've heard of, but I don't really spin much in the DevOps space.
Neither do I. And so, you ever see the movie Never Ending Story?
Yeah.
The title reminds me of what I've been trying to accomplish. So, yet another language I have to learn. I don't. I hope it doesn't take me more than a month to stand all this up. I mean, but what I'm talking about is production. So, like, I have time, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
2 weekends from now, I plan on testing this out in the field, like picking up milk and diapers or something, and fixing whatever bugs that come from it, and then yeah, trying to stand up a production environment, and then use that code. What is it called? IS. How do you say infrastructure as code? I'm so exhausted right now. Use that infrastructure as code to just. I guess I could go ahead and use that as the opportunity to do like my little pipeline stuff whenever I'm checking in code, and it'll like create and tear down to reduce costs and all that stuff. Then I could update my resume and start asking for like $180 an hour or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It seems like that kind of infrastructure stuff is kind of like more opsy is more becoming really
Important.
required as part of your like a well-rounded dev. It's just another thing to tack on to all the other concerns you have to keep in your brain.
I feel like we're becoming surgeons just with less responsibilities or regulation.
But yeah, we don't usually kill people if we do something wrong.
Yeah, I put myself in a bad state several days ago. I was binge watching suicide rate within the medical community, and it put my mind in a bad place. I had to stop. I had to stop watching that stuff. Apparently, apparently they have like the highest rate. I didn't know that. I thought it was like cops or something. So,
I can see that you're dealing with death a lot and
well,
sickness, burnout.
that and it includes medical school as well, like residency or whatever that stuff
Yeah.
is, and supposedly like surgeons probably aren't the most polite, soft spoken, given the pressures that they're under. And so they probably destroy um, students or people that are apprentices or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, this is all I'm guessing. And I mean, this stuff takes like more than a decade, I would assume, to achieve. And what if you can't cut it? Like, what if you get to your seventh year, like, I'm not making it? Like, what do you do with your life? What do you do with all that debt? Like, what do you
Yeah, I
do?
don't know. You're kind of once you go down that path, you're kind of stuck in it
Yeah,
until you can pay off all that debt and everything.
and then you have to take into the equation like I assume most people have like they're close to their family, so maybe mom and dad like paid for your schooling or pitched in, and you couldn't for whatever reason cut it. Like I could only imagine the amount of like stress and shame in which your family invests in you. And
Yeah, or you get in it and you just absolutely hate it, but you have so much family pressure that you can't get
well,
out.
you should
That
learn to
happens.
hate it after the first couple of years, no, or no?
Yeah, but if you're in a situation where your family expects you to be a doctor, I don't think that I'd have to ever deal with that. But I've heard stories that that's a thing where becoming a doctor or a lawyer is, you know, what you need to do in your family or whatever.
Who expects their kid to be a lawyer?
There's families that expect their kids to be, follow a specific profession.
I mean, yeah, okay.
And put a lot
I
of
don't
pressure
know.
on them to do so. I mean, at least
I don't view
it's
lawyers as the most like aspiring, like help others, unless they're working on like,
it's the prestige more than anything, I think.
yeah. I mean, the bar exam, I'm sure, is no joke. It's just lawyers just drain systems. That's the perception that I have. Do they help people? Do they occasionally do pro bono? I'm sure the 0.01% of them probably do, but I don't know. I just think I don't know. It's unfair, but I feel like they just profit from other people's like problems. And I mean, you could say the same thing about a doctor, but a doctor is trying to correct it. Like,
Some doctors are
uh,
trying to correct it, or they're trying to mitigate or treat it. Two different things. You have a lot of faith in doctors that work on mechanical problems, like fixing bones, surgeries.
you say you put a lot of faith in them.
Yeah, because I feel like that stuff's pretty well known. When you get into doctors that are dealing with just the everyday, whatever, they're pushing pills,
Well, yeah,
treatments that you might not need.
yeah. I was talking about like the context. I was talking about was like surgeons and stuff, ER.
Yeah, yeah, surgeons and ERs, people, surgeons especially. I don't know, even ER doctors, unless they're dealing with the mechanical stuff of the body, then I don't know. I just
Last
haven't had
question.
very many good ones. Good.
Last question before I get back to technical. You think we'll make contact within our lifetime?
With aliens?
Uh,
No,
no.
no, probably not. Not within our lifetime. Maybe within a few generations, who knows? But
I mean,
I
I'm
just,
excited about this James Webb telescope.
I know nothing of this telescope.
James Webb.
Yeah.
You never heard of it?
Nope.
Okay.
I know of it now, though.
It's only like one of the most expensive projects ever that involve like dozens of countries,
Huh. And what's its goal or mission?
and it's been delayed for like 7 years. It's basically a next gen of a next gen of a next gen of the Hubble telescope 30 years later.
Okay. Wow, it looks really cool. Looks like a giant honeycomb on a Death Star or something.
Yeah. So when they deploy it, they can't service it because so like I think Hubble was deployed like 300 350 miles um in Earth's orbit, and James Webb is like 1 million miles away at some Lagrange point.
Hmm.
You know what a Lagrange point is?
No.
Okay. Lagrange point is based on the position of celestial bodies where there's an equilibrium where the pull of gravity is like neutralized, and so whatever arbitrary object just sits or hovers more or less. So for example, there's like a Lagrange point more than likely between Earth and the moon, right? If you get closer to the moon's gravity will start to supersede Earth's gravity or whatever. There's a equilibrium like area within there
Okay.
where you could just throw a satellite and it'll just sit, right? I mean, of course it'll coast, but it's pretty much like stable. And then they'll use some rocket engines occasionally to push it back, 10 feet or whatever distance occasionally. Yeah, man, apparently you're not into astronomy. I'm all over that stuff. So
I just wonder what these big fins are for on it. Different.
well, it's origami. It unfolds into like a tennis court of things, so that it could block out the light, so it could examine exoplanets amongst other things.
Cool.
And that process takes about 2 to 3 weeks for it to unfold in space.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't blow up on launch on the launch pad. That would suck.
Yeah, when's it launching?
December or something. It's like soon. I mean, they tested the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if they tested so much, they actually like make it fragile again, based on the amount of shaking that they do for robustness.
Nah. You think that they would like put it into orbit and then like evaluate it, and then they could still fix it while it's not far off, but maybe the trajectory of it has to be that once they launch it, it has to go where it has to go.
I mean, I don't think they, for something that costs that much, I think if it does make it to its destination and it does require service, like within like 10 years, I think they'll go ahead and just take the risk. But that's a bold risk. They're sending a human a million miles away.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that.
And how do you stop that spacecraft? I mean, obviously you can, but how much power is that going to take?
Mm-hmm.
How much power is it going to take to get a million miles out and hit a specific point, right? So I understand that there's like this whole notion of inertia or whatever, but you still require power to maintain alignment to get to your destination a million miles away. And you got to put on some brakes somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which requires even more power of what more than likely is a 50,000 pound, 100,000 pound. I don't know how much these things weigh. Like, I think they would do it because it's too much money involved.
So do you know what the orange honeycomb array or the yellow honeycomb array is for?
Yeah, so it's meant to block out the light so that it can examine the star and observe its exoplanets.
How does it block out light, though? That's weird.
Well, there's a million videos that demo it.
Okay, I'll just have to watch those.
Yes, so like it'll put. I can't explain it because I'm not an astronomer. But they have a whole bunch of videos that discuss the details of how it accomplishes that. It's the same. It's similar to like an eclipse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except you can see the details that the light pollution won't let you see.
Brilliant.
It's, I'm sure, a modern marvel.
Yeah. So I decided this week I was going to stop taking caffeine intake.
Yeah, that's interesting because I made a decision that I was going to try my best to stop taking in sugary beverages.
I've ended up taking in more sugary beverages probably because of that, but
When's your next running event?
not until next year. which actually I was going to talk to you about. I didn't run at all this last week, mostly because I've just been in a weird mood, but that's no excuse.
You should come down to Fort Lauderdale for their turkey run.
Yeah, I think we have a turkey run here in town,
Uh,
a 5K or whatever. But man, I don't know. It's so hard to get motivated to go outside and run when it's
cold.
Yeah. Last few times I did it too, like my muscles started to cramp up or feel weird.
Yeah, y'all should get a timeshare in Florida or Texas. I would assume you people in Minnesota go to Texas for retirement.
No, Florida and Arizona are the two big ones.
Because it's usually vertically down, right? So Arizona. I didn't know.
I don't hear anyone that goes to Texas for retirement. Florida and Arizona are the two that get hit a lot or talked about the most.
I don't see Minnesota plates down here at all.
That's because they own, most retirees probably own something down there. Because you think about it, they're probably spending more time in Florida than they are in Minnesota.
Yeah, but they would ship their cars down here. Like I see Ontario plates, I see New York.
Unless they homestead in Florida instead, and then they come up to Minnesota actually for the summers.
I'm still shopping for a car. The only car that I really want is either a BMW X6 or a Mercedes AMG GLE 63. Like they're both $100,000. I can't live check to check if I buy that, man.
Yeah, no, I can't. You need to get into that entrepreneurial money.
Yeah, so I'm considering what can I buy for like $10,000 then? That is that's still a status symbol. That's still reliable for the next 5 years.
For $10,000, it's just.
It would have to be a limited edition or something.
Yeah, from like 2003 or 2013 maybe.
Get an IROC Z or what was it, a Pontiac Firebird or something.
There you go. Buy a classic car.
But
it's going to be kind of a status symbol.
The reliability is going to be like negative.
Yeah, but older cars are easier to fix. You can get mechanics that'll fix any of that shit super easy.
First world problems.
It's not like a newer car where you need like a master's degree to figure out how to service the damn thing.
I just noticed something. I'll type it in the private chat.
Waking up without coffee is a lot harder to do. I'll tell you what.
Anyways.
Let's say.
Yeah. I just noticed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. All right. Yeah, I didn't even notice, man. I don't really look in that area.
I'm hella paranoid. I don't have anything else to report, but I'm making progress. 2 weeks. My goal is to test it out in the field, and then I gotta go down this whole saga of learning how to do infrastructure as code, which, God, like Terraform probably would be the most beneficial for me to put on my resume, but I'm not convinced it's the fastest Bicep appears to be the fastest, but it's not an abstraction. It's dedicated for Azure, right? Or to Azure. And so, like, how do I want to kill two birds with one stone? Hence, build a product that is. I mean, let's be real. It's likely to fail. Well, yeah. So that other bird is increase my marketplace value as an engineer. Um, so what's more important? Reducing the time by using Bicep to get this out in the market and uh, and test it. I mean, okay, this is me thinking out loud right now. Because it's an MVP, I don't have to be formal. Like I have all the scripts to delete all the data off all the like storage tables and SQL tables and use my dev environment as a prod environment. Like I could do that. I don't want to do it. It doesn't sound sexy, but to just get it out there, I could theoretically do that. But then like once reports or concerns start trickling in about things not working, I don't want to be in that environment where I'm like deleting crap and um, what's the formal word? It starts with R. Where I'm doing reconciliation like in production for things that really should be like done in the dev environment or a dedicated QA environment. So you understand what I'm trying to explain?
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense to have a dedicated environment. But
Yeah, but it's probably going to add another month at 1 hour a day, maybe 5 hours on the weekends. I mean, I think I know what the answer is. I still got to do it. The question is like, do I go for getting this done as quickly as possible with a dedicated tool for my specific cloud solution, Azure, by using Bicep, or that two birds with one stone, either Pulumi or Terraform, learn that, but it's going to take more time to get things right and way more code to maintain or templates or whatever that stuff is to maintain. I think because I don't know any other cloud solution, can I really go wrong with Bicep? I feel like I can't. Like no one's going to hire me anytime soon to do AWS. And even if I like gain Terraform knowledge, if it's an AWS solution, I would think that I'm still required to have some knowledge of AWS if I'm doing DevOps for it.
yeah,
I
you
mean, I
know,
can get in like entry level for those jobs, but I don't want entry level money. Like I'm trying to graduate to like 150 an hour or something.
yeah, I mean, the concepts probably apply across tool as well, though. I mean, it's glorified scripting and configuration, right? I mean, just making sure you put the right numbers in the right place, letters in the right place. Um, I think that if you went with one, I'm guessing that it would probably be pretty easy to pick up the other one. How different can they be? Maybe they can.
They're different. So Pulumi is infrastructure as code with actual like .NET or JavaScript stuff like that. Terraform, I think, is its own like YAML type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's more at a sysadmin type environment, or I don't know. I can't think of a word better than environment. It's more geared towards sysadmins and the way that they program. And then like this this Bicep, it looks like it looks like it's like a derivative of JSON, but just more concise. It's its own domain specific language, but it's not like an imperative language. It's still declarative. I'm going with bicep. Now, hopefully, I can establish myself as the technical authority in the state of Florida on bicep. I made the same declaration about F sharp. The technical authority in the state of Florida on F sharp. That's what I want to be. So,
is bicep actually like built into Azure? Like, is it a Microsoft product?
no, it's a it's a Microsoft product, but you can. My understanding is, I don't know how this works. So you can execute like ARM or Azure Resource Management commands through Azure CLI, through PowerShell, and there's a third one. I can't remember. I think with and the Azure portal. I think that's the third one. So those are the ways that you can like execute commands that revolve around like Azure resources. And my understanding is that with PowerShell, it's not integrated with it. There may be some scripts that you have to execute or installations that you have to execute in order for PowerShell to recognize it. And then with Azure CLI, I think it is integrated. Short answer is all this is new to me, so I'm not sure.
And this is just to spin up the various resources. So like
This is to
Azure
replicate.
Service Bus instance and
This is to replicate an environment.
gotcha.
I like the word replicate. It sounds like alien-ish. So I watched Alien Covenant at like 3:00 in the morning. So hence my question about, you think we'll make contact within our lifetime?
Alien Covenant. Which one was that one?
So I think it's a prequel to. It's either a prequel or I don't know if it's
Isn't
a
it?
prequel
Oh,
or a
it's a
sequel to
sequel to.
Prometheus.
I think it's a sequel to Prometheus, isn't it?
Yeah, and that what's it, Jose Smollett, whatever that Smollett dude is, that hired the Nigerians.
Yeah.
He's in the movie. Hopefully, he was in that movie before his because I think that movie came out in 2017. And when was the Smollett debacle? Was that like 3 years ago?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It sounds about right.
Yeah. That made a lot of people mad. They refused to prosecute him. Freaking Democrats. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I don't remember Alien Covenant being very good.
I fell asleep when I first tried to watch it last night, like around 10 o'clock. I PO'd. And then I woke up at like 3 in the morning. And I rented it, so I want my money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So like I went ahead and watched the full thing. I fell asleep after the first 5 minutes my first time trying to watch it.
Yeah, they're a bit slow. I liked Prometheus though. I guess there was some stuff that was cut out of it though that would have kind of made a big difference, I think, in the film. The scene with the engineer, where they're talking to the engineer in the whatever the room where he's been in a thing. He actually has dialogue in the actual that they cut from the film. He doesn't just wake up, look at people and pull the head off the guy. They actually talk a bit before.
You're talking about the droid, or what do you call those things? You talking about the robot thingy,
But yeah,
the synthetic human?
the synthetic's talking to talks to the engineer, and the engineer talks back.
Yeah, in the beginning of the movie.
No, towards the climax of the movie.
Towards the climax.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was confused at the end of the movie because he reprogrammed his identity or something.
Oh, I
So
don't know what. Yeah, I don't remember that.
at the end of the movie, she was like, "Are you going to help me build a cabin when we get there?" And she looked at him, and he didn't say anything, and she realized that it wasn't him. It wasn't the same synthetic. And then she started freaking out, and then he put her to sleep in the cryogenic thingamajig. That part I didn't get. Like, how did he just assume another synthetic's identity? I don't know. I'm slow when it comes to picking up things like that. You remember when Roman used to faithfully watch our sessions? She doesn't care about us anymore.
Roman or Gamler?
Gamlor. Hold on. Where did Roman come from? There is a Roman, right? Or it's always been Gamlor.
I don't know now. Maybe Gamler is Roman. I don't know.
Yeah, he was my only one faithful observer on my channel. So I was expecting to get a super chat from him sooner or later. You know what a super chat is?
No.
On YouTube, people pay money to have their questions answered that they type out during the live stream. That's it. I don't really have too much else to report. I finished most of this book right here with emphasis on most. It was enlightening. I never really knew what SAFe was. I just thought it was a stupid way that agile coaches make more money off of monolithic organizations. But it's a lot of thought that was put into that. So it kind of enlightened me. It's a lot of information. So I even considered, like, how much will I get paid to have a SAFe certification? If I go to training for 2 days, right?
Yeah, then you don't have to build anything. You just show up and talk to people about how they should do things.
Yeah, I'm an architect. I already do that. I don't have to build anything.
You don't actually have to produce anything.
I mean, like, you produce, like, diagrams that look professional.
Yeah.
But people only look at it once. It's not like the Bible. Why is that? Like, how come architectural, like, documentation or diagrams aren't treated as biblical? Like, they're not consistently referenced and cited like the Constitution is, like the Bible is, like Article 3, Section 2 specifically says. Like, none of that is cited when there's a design discussion amongst developers. I don't know. I just find it interesting that so much effort and money goes into these documents, and they're never, like, they're looked at one time usually, and that's it. And it's just nice to have.
So. Well, they're meant to communicate an idea, right? And then once the idea is gained or understood, then it's implemented. You don't need to look at it more than once usually.
Yeah, but how often does the code base actually reflect that upfront design?
Yeah, now you're talking about the fact that once you get into development, sometimes you have to deviate from it. And then the question is, do you update the documents? And then what's the point? You're repeating yourself. The code demonstrates the the documentation on it. I mean,
It doesn't demonstrate
yeah.
documentation. It
I mean, unless you
demonstrates
want to, yeah,
implementation or
yeah. I mean,
interpretation.
you want to be able to communicate that to new people, I suppose.
It really just demonstrates a pivot,
But that
whether
should
that
take just
pivot
a couple
was on
seconds.
purpose or not.
Like to update it, like a document or whatever, should just take a few minutes if something changes. But then you don't know if it's out of date or not, and I don't know.
Well, the tests need to map or correlate to an architecture, I think. Now, how do you do that? I don't know. I mean, because the tests are the only like compilable proof that the system is supposed to have these checkpoints, right? Or these verifications. But you, how do you really map that to an architecture? Like,
Architectures, I mean, there's like performance tests and stuff, but your architecture is not going to be captured in a test. Test functionality.
your architecture's not, but my argument
Architecture
is
supports functionality.
your test should support the architecture. But how do you really do that? Like, I don't know.
Don't the tests verify the functionality? The functionality is enabled by the architecture. The
Yes.
architecture isn't testable unless you're looking at certain aspects like performance, maybe.
I would think the
But even that's
architecture
a
is
feature
testable.
to a certain extent. How can you test an architecture, though?
I would, so, for example, an architecture should, I would argue, should abstract away certain implementation details so that developers don't have to be concerned with it. Right.
How do you write
So,
an assertion around that, though?
so for example, any data that's leaving the system and traveling across the wire probably should, within a regulated environment, probably should run through some type of compliance engine, right? And then if all that checks off as that data is compliant, personal identifiable information or personal health information, all that stuff is handled through the architecture because it's built in, the compliance is built into the architecture, then yeah, that should be testable.
How would you write a test for that, though?
You would write a test with the data that's leaving the system. So if you do if you execute some command or some method that ultimately results in some web request or some posting of data to some external system, you should be able to take that message that's going out to some external system and examine it to make sure that it doesn't have any identifiable information in it, to make sure it's compliant if it were to be sent to a log server or something like that. That's how you would test it.
I mean, I could understand testing a component that does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine how I would write a test to do that.
I could. So let's assume that any information that leaves the system needs to get logged. Okay. Like it's a historical event. All right. And so not only does it leave that system to hit whatever other third-party system for processing, but it gets logged in App Insights or whatever other log software component, whatever you want to call it. You're not supposed to have any identifiable information or personal health information on those log servers. The business doesn't own the log server. Like some other business owns that. And so why wouldn't you be able to test that by executing some type of
okay.
thing? And when there's a request that's about to be, or when there's some message that's about to get sent out to another server, you examine that message to verify that it doesn't have anything incriminating, not incriminating, but anything personal.
Sure. I don't think that's testing the architecture, though. That's just testing the functionality, right? I mean,
If the architecture is handling compliance and it's
yeah,
of data that goes out, and it's not required for the developer to do that for every single feature that they add, that they're supposed to manage compliance, I think you are testing the architecture.
but every you could theoretically pass the same test by just removing that information yourself before you leave and not running it through this compliance component. So the test wouldn't prove anything other than that it's doing what it says it should do.
Like, then that wouldn't be a test then, if you were you're writing. I don't understand.
No, I mean, you could bypass the component and just do it manually, remove all the PII manually.
Not like in the code. If it's built in, if it's part of the architecture to handle any data, to make sure that it satisfies a checklist before that data is continued, or whatever the word is, to make before that data is progressed to leave to some other system, then it's part of the architecture. I don't know. I can show you an example offline of something that I built to handle that.
Yeah, I guess I don't see how it'd be testing. I'd be testing the functionality that is driven because of the needs. I don't know.
You're testing. You're not testing a specific business feature. You're testing that when data leaves the system, it needs to go through these specific checks, and that's it. And
yeah, but you can't test that it went through those checks by observing that the data isn't there, because it could be removed by some other means, right? Or never have been populated to begin with.
In order for data to leave the system, you can build it, and the compiler will enforce it that it goes through this specific component before it leaves the system.
Okay,
would you agree with that?
You're talking like, I guess you could build it such that the compiler, yeah, you could have compiler constraints in there, but then the compiler is the test of that, not the test, right?
The compiler is a test that it hits a specific interface in order for it to check to make sure that there's nothing personal that's going out. I told you there is a Roman. Hey, Roman.
I think Roman is Gamlor, though.
Nah.
I think if you look at his icon, it's Gamlor.
And what is he doing in North Korea?
Why? Oh, greeting from Korea. Oh, maybe he's in South Korea.
No, he's in North Korea. He probably got locked up.
Trying to spy on the Kim Jong-un again. Maybe he's friends. Maybe it's actually Kim Jong-un.
So glad
this whole time.
So glad this work week is almost over with.
He's Roman when he joins from YouTube, and he's Gamlor when he joins from Twitch.
Oh, okay. Roman, we were discussing, can you test in architecture? And I say, yeah. And Sean, I think, is saying no.
You can test, like I said, you can test certain features of an architecture, like performance and stuff like that. But I think everything else you test is really...
You can test that the compliance engine is being triggered.
But that's not testing the architecture. That's testing that. That's testing that the compliance engine is functioning, right?
No, you're testing the architecture because, okay, is there a component that's responsible for the .NET framework? When you use system.net, I think that's one of the namespaces. In order for you to use a web request, and you pull that into your code base, is that part of the architecture?
Is that part of the architecture of the code? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
of the code, of your code.
In
When you
using,
start pulling in packages.
yeah, using .NET in general is part of your architecture, right?
Well, it's a framework, but I mean, when you start pulling in libraries and assembling those libraries into a framework of yours for to serve as a piece of the architecture that your business rules are going to rely on, yeah, I would say that's an architecture. So what I'm saying is, there's a way that you can build out your solution where you can have any data that's leaving your system through a web request has to go through some business rules, right? You can do that, and your compiler can enforce that. That's what I was saying. And so, before data leaves the system, you can like put a wrapper around that to examine what that data is before it gets ready to leave the system and go to some other external endpoint. You can examine it and decide if you want to let it continue and get published to the other endpoint, or if you want to say, no, this isn't leaving. Like, you can do that. To me, that's part of an architecture. It's okay. I think we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not. Maybe the lack of coffee now is getting my brain too numb to this.
That's all right. Any plans for the weekend? Did you finish building your workbench,
My table, no.
your table?
Game table, no.
Okay.
I do need to get back into the habit of running this week, or I need to. I don't know. I gotta just report back that I've run at least twice.
I
Unit.
noticed that video that I sent was included the audio of a video I was listening to a couple of days ago. I'm like,
But that's a dark day down there on the beach on that day, was it?
so it's weird. Like, when you live on the beach, you can see like thunderstorms from like 30 miles away. And so, like, to the north of me, it was dark where you could see the storms. It was like the horizon was split in half. Half the horizon was dark, and the other half was sunny.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, yeah,
Oh yeah,
but
that's right. Yeah. I just remember the opening part of it where it was dark, but now I'm looking at it and it's when you panned it was I got it was light on the other side.
it's uh, it's 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 a lot more encouraging, shall I say, to like live by the beach because you have fewer excuses for not exercising, for not going for your morning run. So, like, now I'm running on the beach now because my knees are taking a toll trying to run on the trail, and I'm trying to maintain 3 miles on the beach, which is still kind of grueling for me. But I would like to graduate to 4 miles on the beach consistently. But my knees keep caving in whenever I try to hit 4 miles. So
Oof. Yeah, I don't know if there's any way to fix that.
I probably need to dedicate. I probably need to have like rituals of exercising like my hind legs. It's just I haven't been successful doing that, and I've been trying to develop that habit for like the past 3 or 4 years, and I'm just not consistent with it. I'll do squats like once every like I'll do squats like once a month, and it's pointless. right? I just can't stay consistent to do it like maybe twice a week.
Hmm.
When I say squats, like not even in the weight room, I'm talking about just on on the beach, just acting like I have like a barbell over my back and just going up and down with my legs, trying to keep my back straight and just trying to do that, doing sets of 12, maybe like 5 times.
Yeah, but doesn't that just work your quads and then too?
I thought quads and hind legs were the same thing. No?
Oh, I don't. I thought, well, your quads are in the front of your leg.
Are they?
It's
I
your
thought they
hind
were
leg
like,
then.
I thought they were under your buttocks or whatever. I thought they were like your hamstring or something. No? I
No,
have no clue.
I don't think so.
How do I work out my hamstrings?
Let me see. I'm
I got
looking
some
at.
exercises that last 2 weeks, like twice a week. I don't think like so. South Florida is flat, so there is no. You can go hiking, but I think you're just going to go hiking in the Everglades and probably get killed by an alligator or a python. Which, now that I think about it, maybe I should like take a family hike. Like, that's dark humor.
I'm looking up how to work your hind legs now. And of
Without
course,
without
it's a
weights.
horse.
Without weights.
I don't know. Maybe Romanian deadlifts would do it. I don't remember what those do.
Or is it just playing basketball?
What's the Romanian deadlift?
It's a hike. You have to go to an indoor climbing gym. Hey, Daryl. That's the first time. Yeah, I don't want to spend any money. I don't want to spend any money, and I don't want to go to a weight room. Like I have a weight room where I live.
Yeah.
I like being outdoors. Climb stairs of a tall building. Okay.
So there's a way to do like a Romanian deadlift that's a body weight exercise, but I think that works the same.
How many stories should I climb of a tall building?
All of them.
I'm trying to think of a tall building that we have in. I think it would have to be downtown Miami. Who goes to tall buildings?
Didn't you have like a condo across the way you could have climbed up until
I
it fell
mean,
down?
the condo I'm in is 5 floors, but he said tall building. Like, and I think about the Michael Jordan commercial where he's at a stadium and he's running upstairs, and the Dalai Lama offers him a Coke. Does the commercial sound familiar?
I think so.
Let me see if I can find it. YouTube. My memory is impeccable. Hold up. Michael Jordan. Dalai. How do you spell Dalai Lama? Dalai. I can't spell Dalai Lama. Or is it
Speed
Gatorade?
autocorrect.
Or is it Gatorade? Which one is it? What do you call those people? Monk?
They're Tibetan monks, aren't they?
You have different types of monks?
Yeah. All sorts of kind of
Oh,
monks.
well, you have a Shaolin monk. Okay, I can't find it. I was going to say I could go to a stadium and run up and down the steps. This is when this whole mastermind session is pretty much over with now. Did you just send me a link?
Sent you a link to you could do one-legged Romanian deadlifts. I think that'd work.
Why gotta be Romanian? Why can't it be?
Because that's what they're called. I don't know if they're Romanians.
Okay, I could do that. It looks like it requires some effort.
I think it's easier than it looks, but I'm realizing now that I've been doing it wrong.
Daryl Spillman, are you a programmer? This mastermind session usually. Why do I have 5 people all of a sudden? Yeah, that's a record. This is usually me trying to state if I made any progress with my startup idea, and then blowing off the next 45 minutes talking about nothing. So, I don't really have too much else to add. I can't wait to get this day over with. I'm exhausted. Like, so my client is like 2 hours behind, like mountain time, and it's exhausting. like their workday starts at like 11 o'clock, like my 11 o'clock. So I've been trying to adjust to it.
Yeah, mine starts an hour. I'm Central Time. It starts Eastern Time, so technically their work days started. But I usually don't start until 8 my time, 9 there, and then I'm done an hour later than most people.
So going to stop
yeah.
probably end up being like 10 flights. You're getting famous. He was talking to you, Sean. You're getting famous.
He's talking to you. This is your channel, man.
Yeah, man. I used to join Dave Rail. I live in Miami. We should link up at some point. Yeah, definitely. What are you doing today? I'm pretty spontaneous. Of course, I mean, I work today.
You're on this list now, Daryl.
Yeah. You've just inherited a weird, awkward acquaintance. So now I'm going to hit you up like every 2 weeks and see what you're up to on a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah. Just ping you randomly on Twitter with stuff.
So Dave Rail disappeared off the grid. I reached out to him a couple times on Skype. I mean, he's always like receptive, but he dropped off, or does he have another program that I don't know about?
No, he dropped off. He I don't know. I think when, gosh, what was it? Was that when John Simons went out kind of off the rails on Twitter, or no? Was it? And then there was another gal who got in trouble. That was his last Developer on Fire episode. I think he was just getting tired of all the work. Yeah.
Okay.
He was never big on Twitter to begin with, too. So.
He was on there. I mean, I don't think he would enforce his opinions on people. I mean, he disagreed a couple of times when I would like enforce my opinions on Twitter. But yeah, he dropped off. I don't know. I wonder if he get frustrated from like not having like a huge adoption of sponsors for his show, or like I'm not sure what his. I don't know.
He had started a political podcast, Daryl, but he dropped that after a while.
I didn't know that.
He got a little. I think his mindset was he was a little concerned about the whole cancel
culture.
So yeah,
as he should be.
Yeah, so he and he I think in one of them he mentioned he kind of let his emotions get over him, and he didn't feel like that was something he should have done, and maybe he rethought whether he could handle it without being a cheerleader for one side.
He got into an argument on one of his podcasts?
Yeah, I think so. Not an argument, but
now I'm going to look for it.
Counterpoint type thing, but I don't know. It was a while ago that had happened. but not anything bad. Nobody would watch it and go, "Oh, that was like awful" or anything like that. But
So, all right. So here's a quick question for like, I don't even know if you have 5 minutes left. I mentioned this yesterday when I was at like a taco bar. If the internet, how old is the internet? Like 30 years old, 25 years old? Like, I thought it was invented in like 96 or something. I can't do the math.
I don't remember, man.
If the
I remember that's when it became popular. It's in the mid '90s.
Okay, so like we can say like 25 years ago. I still can't do the math. If the internet was disconnected for like 1 month, would that destroy like most governments? Now it's like, I mean, we were able to function before the internet, right? But would it really like wreak havoc across every system, or will we be able to be resilient?
Dude, if the internet went down, I mean,
Would people still get paid? Like, would
people would be out of a job. No, I mean, you wouldn't be able to pay people because all of the electronic payments would be all messed up. Pretty sure.
There's such thing as a paycheck that you can like mail.
Yeah, but the infrastructure's not there anymore for it.
Old people, yeah, it's still there.
I don't think the post office can even handle that much volume all of a sudden. And what would people get paid for? Half the businesses are internet businesses. I mean, you need the internet to probably properly process most credit cards now, although some probably still use dial-up, but that's still a form of internet.
So, yeah, but was there not credit cards before the internet?
Yeah. Yeah, but they would use like a dial-up type system, which you could probably say is like, and then they use those like things, where that actually
a carbon copy.
Yeah, I think. I don't know if those were phoned in then or how they reconciled those, or
I think they would get collected, and I think they would get shipped as a batch job or something. To me, the carbon copies were always a backup. And to your point, yeah.
But let me ask you, how would they even know where to send your paycheck?
It has to be on some written ledger somewhere.
How would the bank be able to? How would the bank know to be able to process your paycheck?
A filing cabinet. You remember those?
Yeah, but how would they? What would they put it in, a general ledger? Like a sheet of paper, like you're now.
I mean, it's funny that we're saying that, but like the internet's not that old.
Yeah, but it's vital infrastructure now. I mean, you really couldn't. I mean, individuals can go without it in their homes, but society as a whole kind of has now become dependent on it in terms of core processing, unless there's backup. Like
we were discussing how much it would affect women versus men, and how like men more likely would probably be able to deal with it, but it would completely reverse the social economic system of women, or the social sexual marketplace.
I don't think so.
Like, you don't think so?
No. Maybe it's different there, but
I think internet. Some people are like, that's how they socialize. Like, I don't know.
I think dudes would freak out if they can't get on to play Call of Duty. And
I think if it were a year ago, I would freak out over, like, so if you're a day trader or even a swing trader, yeah, you would freak out.
Yeah.
Because you would have to watch television in order to see like where the stocks are, and you would just have to wait for the ticker to show your stock, and you don't know what time it's going to happen.
and then call up your broker to have them put a paper in a tube to buy you 5 shares of.
I mean, there would be no Instagram, there would be no Facebook, there would be.
Yeah, I don't think any of that's really too big a deal. It's more the like
people would
stuff.
I would knock on your door. Hey, Sean, you want to hang out? Like, people would start showing up at people's doorsteps, unannounced.
Although we no internet, we wouldn't even know each other exist at this point. Well, now we would, but I mean, had that never existed, we wouldn't have
Yeah,
known
you
each other
you probably
existed.
wouldn't know that many people outside your state.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting experiment for just like 1 month. It'll kind of be like the purge. So that's it. Well, 5 minutes is up. All
Yeah.
right. Well, it's been real, Daryl. I'll look for you on Twitter, Daryl, and Roman. We'll catch up. And I'm sorry for wasting everybody's time. All right. See you.
See ya.